1 week season.
Hey, and welcome in, OWS fam. So glad you are with us. We are back in the DFS lab as we get set for week 2. We are recording this Tuesday night, but you were probably watching this Thursday morning or afternoon, September 11th. Here on the DFS lab presented by 1 week season, we build a lineup on DraftKings, use it as a way to talk through the upcoming slate. I'm your host, Cheeseman. And he is StatATL. And Stat, welcome back to the DFS lab as always. How was week 1 for you? Just as, kind of looking back, anything that kind of stood out to you, or just even overall, like how'd you do? How'd you play?
So unlike a lot of the other contributors for 1 week season, like I am primarily like a single entry 3 max type builds. I was at a golf trip last weekend, so I didn't do a ton of lineups. I only entered 4 different lineups, and 3 out of the 4 cashed. So solid first week. My best finish was in the larger field of the $50 single entry, and I think we ended up in like 100th out of 5,000, but we were in 15th or 20th, like at halftime of the 4 p.m. games. So didn't get a great run out there, but solid weeks, and just kind of stuck to the guns, picked who I thought were the best plays, what made the most sense in terms of correlation of lineups, and just ran with it for 4 different builds.
Dude, love that, man. How about having a golf weekend and cashing 3 of 4 in DraftKings? How'd you play? How was your golf game?
Golf game was good. We this trip is with 24 guys. We do 12 versus 12, like Ryder Cup style. We were down at Cabot Citrus Farms, which is in like an hour from Orlando, an hour from Tampa. And new resort. It's pretty cool resort. They're still developing it. Like they only have like 30 some odd cabins on property. So our group was like more than half of the people that were at the resort at this time. So it was a great time. We had a lot of fun.
That's awesome, dude. I always forget to do this stuff anyway, but I know you kind of have like some different channels where you do golf stuff, or bourbon, that kind of thing. Where can people find you if they want to find you online on socials?
The only social I'm like really actively active with is Instagram. And if you want to follow my bourbon and golf journey, it is 4, like what you yell if you hit a bad shot. FORE.
4, yeah.
4 bourbon and golf is my handle, and I don't know that I'm that active with it, but I probably post on it once a week, whether it's golf related or bourbon whiskey related.
Dude, nice. I love that. Love that, man. Let's real quick look at last week's lineup, which we did. It cashed. I forget. Do you remember where it placed? Was it min cash? Was it just past min cash? Regardless, it was a good build last week. Did end up cashing, and any thoughts on this lineup? Like what went well, what didn't? Obviously Jamar Chase did not score a whole lot of points. That would have made this probably do a whole lot better if it had.
Yeah, overall, it did okay. I was in the $12 single entry. I think it cashed for $30. So it's like slightly above a min cash. Again, we build these lineups on Tuesday. I think even though this show is around single entry builds, like this lineup, in hindsight, like if we had looked at it on Saturday, like this was too chalky a lineup. Like there was just way too much of the chalk in this lineup for it to kind of solo ship and win a contest. But yeah, overall it did fine. The 2 lowest scores on this team came from Jamar Chase and Brian Thomas, which is kind of the opposite of what you would expect from like your 2 of your 3 highest price players. But we leaned into the Jacksonville Carolina game, and we, I don't know that we picked the right players or the wrong players. Chuba Hubbard was, if we were going for a bring back, he was the highest scoring Panther. but Lawrence and BTJ and Strange didn't really do anything exciting. Just overall, it was a low scoring week. I think the lineup only scored like 131 points or something. So, I mean, the highlights, I guess, Broncos D was the highest scoring D, I think, on the slate, or maybe second, but it was really strong. And then CMC gave you a really strong score at running back, Hubbard above average score. And then
touchdowns.
Yeah, and then Ibuka, Ibuka was really solid as well. So I think he was like 30 or 40% owned though. So he was really strong for most of the field. So
yeah, a play that you certainly like with his ownership and his multiplier that he got. You pretty much had to have him, I think, to win this week, or certainly to cash, which unfortunately I did not. I did cash one lineup without him, and it was it was by the skin of my teeth. The Broncos D, that sack fumble recovery they had at the very end of the game, basically snuck me over the cash line for one of my cashes. But yeah, overall, I still was fine. My results were not good. Process, I felt pretty good. So we'll see how week 2 goes. But let's look now. Let's jump into DraftKings. Remove this, add this. Here we go. Need to refresh this. And, obviously, as we get into looking at week 2, we always kind of like to take kind of that 10,000-foot view. So, I'll just quickly say, there's some spots. I've kind of done a little bit of an overview. There's some different spots that look interesting. I mean, even, obviously, Jacksonville, Cincinnati is the high. I believe that is the highest total. Sorry, 1 sec.
Yeah, probably around the 50 total, if I was guessing.
Yeah. Yeah, right around 50. Chicago, Detroit is second. That's another one where I feel like the Lions, after their just kind of poor showing on the road against the Packers on week 1, they're back at home. Jared Goff tends to be better at home. You said that, and I took that from you in your first look article. I could see the Lions just being out for blood and wanting to put up 40 points and just kind of show the rest of the league, hey, we still got it. Whether they actually do or not, they certainly would be. I could see them being very motivated. And the Bears are going to be on a short week. But I think kind of just coming back to the basics for me, I really like to go to start my lineups by looking at quarterbacks who are playing at home and then have rushing upside. And I mean, Lamar Jackson, he is the second most expensive quarterback on the slate. That's always something that is a little bit of a, love that factor about it. But I just think Lamar Jackson could be in a great spot. That entire Baltimore offense, but Jackson especially, could see him putting up a really big score, especially if he can, do 50 to 70 yards rushing, maybe a rushing score. You could also, you could look at other pieces on that offense. And then I know you talked a little bit about in your first look, the possibility of the Browns being able to potentially keep up. Joe Flacco is still very cheap. And if the Browns are put in a position where they really have to score to try and stay in the game, you could see them maybe being a little more aggressive and having more success than they did even in week 1. But I really liked Lamar Jackson this week again. Second most expensive quarterback. That'd be the only thing that would give me pause if there's a better play with a little more salary savings. What about you?
Yeah, I think that was a game that stood out to me doing my first look. So for those listening, if you are a 1 week season subscriber, you could find my first look. It's pinned in the Discord every Tuesday. We'll be out on Twitter or X on the 1 week season channel, feed, whatever the right word is, on Twitter. I think the editors generally get it out around lunchtime on Wednesday. But yeah, that Browns-Ravens game is one that stood out to me as some potential for fantasy goodness. I really like the Jaguars and Bengals game as well. I think that that one stood out. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Detroit, the Detroit side of Chicago at Detroit. I think one of the games that stood out to me that I don't know is going to stand out to too many people because the total I don't think is really all that high, maybe 43, 44. It's the New England at Miami game. Like just feels like Miami's defense looked pretty terrible. Miami does have some explosive players on that team. So I feel like that's a spot where maybe that goes a bit overlooked by some of these other game environments like the Jaguars, Bengals, like the Browns, Ravens, that are just going to probably garner more ownership. Like that's a spot early on that I liked as kind of a potential under the radar spot, which, again, on this show, we like to do, single entries, kind of these 5,000 field contests. I think this one we can certainly build, and this makes no real difference. But to me, you don't have to be 100% contrarian. You're not building for the milli maker, but you're also not building a cash line too. So it's a little bit of that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. When's the last? Have you played in cash, or have you ever been a cash player? Like there was a time where I was playing double ups every week. I have not played double ups in at least 3 seasons, I think.
I think so. In week 1, and I could probably find it on the oneweekseason.com site. Every week I write an article around contest selection and just the contests that are the kind of the best structured. But kind of the prerequisite of the contest selection article last week was just around knowing what your goals are, identifying your bankroll, but then trying to say, hey, am I trying to grind out a profit, or am I trying to win a tournament with, potential upside for, let's say life-changing money? Or am I trying to play and sustain a bankroll for the full season? And kind of being honest with yourself, it should help determine like what type of contests you should be entering.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely, man. I could not agree more. By the way, 1 week season fam, or if you are not in the 1 week season right now, not a member, there is a promotion right now going on with the props package. So for week 2, you can sign up for a 1 week pass, and that would be $9 for a 1 week pass, and that basically gives you access to everything, all the bets that contributors are going to be putting out. That's not just your traditional mainly this is props, and so not just your traditional props. You also have lines for pick'ems. And there's a lot of different content, like even like kind of looking at different correlations you could use in pick'ems, like for prize picks or underdogs. They'll have posts in the Discord that will say, this game looks really good for, correlating this receiver with the opposing receiver, pairing those in pick'ems. So great opportunity. I mean, $9 just to check it out and see all the different things. There's a lot of chat as well that goes on. I don't know, have you ever spent any time, not to digress too much here, but in the props chat, I'm pretty sure they talk about a lot of things outside of just props, just a lot of plus EV ways. I know James talked about this before, just plus EV ways to think about life, or just other ways that you can just kind of make money, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of stuff you can learn too, just by being around other people who are thinking in kind of the same way.
Yeah, no, it's a great shout for the props package, for the props channel in Discord. I think you summarized it well. I've spent some time in years past, but this season I haven't been into the channel yet this season. I haven't
delved into it yet. Cool, man. Well, where do you want to start on this build now that we've kind of looked at week 2 a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of want to start with the game that we just talked about. I kind of want to start with New England and Miami. Even though I don't think that's going to be, I don't know that it's going to draw a ton of ownership. I mean, it's hard to say because, again, we do these things on Tuesday. But yeah, I mean, I really like the upside that, that Maye gives you here at quarterback at 5,200. A bunch of different pairing partners that you could go that direction. We saw Miami's defense kind of get exploited a little bit last week. They basically made Daniel Jones look like Joe Montana in his prime. So
yeah, seriously,
I like this for Drake Maye. I think let's start by pairing him with Stephon Diggs, and we'll just kind of see how the roster builds out. I think that I would be fine with Hunter Henry. I'd be fine with Keyshawn Butte. So let's just kind of see where his salary takes us, and we'll go from there. I generally like in these single entries to try to bet on a game environment. So for me, I generally will include a bring back in my stacks. Just again, you certainly don't have to, but I like trying to bet on having to get less things right. So I think after, we'll say, like a dismal type performance in week one, like I think you're going to get some people be pretty shy on the Dolphins this week. And I think this is an opportunity to just go right back to either Devon A. Chan or Tyreek Hill. And I think Tyreek Hill is like way priced down at like in the sixes, 6,400. And I feel like, he still probably has that 30-point upside, and there's a possibility that he's like very low owned this week. So if he does give you that, if you do get this bet right, this Maye, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill bet right, and it's low owned, like that's the only type of like real pivot that you really need to make in a single entry 2,000 person contest. Like you don't have to play 9 contrarian plays. Obviously, you don't want 9 of the chalkiest plays at every position. So if you're doing kind of one main bet that's going to be low owned, that's enough. That is contrarian enough.
Love that. Yeah, man, absolutely love that. And I mean, I have to admit that I really was thinking that same exact way. Like, are the Dolphins, is this team just a shell of its former self? I mean, just 2 years removed from them being one of the best offenses in the NFL. But again, they don't call it overreaction week one or Monday or whatever for nothing, like I do think you're right. No one's going to really want to touch the Dolphins. And so this is a great, to assume that Tyreek Hill is just completely toast. It's too early to say for sure.
Yeah. And then so this morning, we got some kind of bigger news, fantasy related. It's, the San Francisco 49ers put George Kittle on IR. They're still, without Brandon Ayuk. Juwan Jennings suffered that shoulder injury in the fourth quarter. They haven't really released much information on his injury status. But if he were to miss or be limited, like the entire offense is going to flow through Christian McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall. So I think that in a lineup where you've kind of done something a little bit contrarian like that, like we could pencil in, honestly, we could pencil in both. So again, let's just start with McCaffrey and Pearsall. And we'll kind of go from there and see where this lineup kind of shakes out for us.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. Love the Niners stack.
So I think that if we're going to lean on, more correlation like this, I do really like kind of betting on, another situation where we've got some injuries. And that would be with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are going to be without Rashee Rice again due to that suspension. Xavier Worthy hurt in that Thursday night football or Friday night football game in Brazil. And, you saw all of the targets get funneled to Hollywood Brown. I think he had 14, 15, 16 targets last week, 16 targets, and his price is at 5,200. So I think that that's a spot where I really want to lean into betting that the Chiefs are going to be able to score some points. And, let's bet on Hollywood Brown here. So I guess right now he's going to flow into our flex, which will be fine.
Yeah. Afternoon kick. Yeah.
Afternoon kick is cool. So I think from here, like I like having the correlation here. So let's fill that second running back spot with Saquon Barkley.
Ooh, let's go, dude. Saquon. Need a big one from him.
Yeah, so not leaving us a ton of salary left. So let's go ahead and throw in a defense here, kind of see what that leaves us, and then maybe we move some stuff around. So in my first look, I identified like 3 or 4 defenses that I like. Usually try to give a higher end defense, kind of a middle range defense between right around 3,000, and then kind of a pay down defense. As we did on every one of these shows last year, Cheese. Let's throw in the 3,000, the mid range D that I like, which this week is the Rams at 3,100.
It is.
And so that leaves us 4,300 for a tight end. We could go Ingram. We could go Henry. So I don't mind that at all. I mean, I don't know that I think you could very easily throw in Hunter Henry here, make this be a double stack of Maye, Diggs, Henry with a bring back of Tyreek Hill. Certainly don't mind that at all. I think where you get a lot of the fantasy upside from Drake Maye is with his legs. So generally with rushing quarterbacks, where I'm banking on getting some ceiling performance out of their legs, I personally don't like two pass catchers. I'd love to be able to get to McBride on this roster, but I don't see that being anywhere within the realm of possibilities because he's 6,000. So we're quite a bit short there. Let's go down off of Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
And let's see, again, so we could go Hunter Henry here. What is Kayshon Boutte? I think he's mid fours, like 4,500.
Yeah.
So let's see what that kind of gives us a little bit more, 4,800 at tight end.
Got Laporta there, Detroit at home.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that. I really want to get a Saints piece into this lineup. They had some really condensed targets last week between either Olave or Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, man.
And so just because right now we're betting on San Francisco with two different pieces, let's put in Juwan Johnson. Let's see what that kind of gives us for the rest of this.
You think he gets 12 targets again, man? I mean, man, I guess Rattler just kind of locked onto him because 12 targets is huge. And for his price, that's super cheap for 12 targets. Even if he got 8, that'd be good.
Yeah. So I don't hate this build, but let's take out Pearsall. And then I want you to move Hollywood Brown from flex to wide receiver and see kind of what that gives us. At flex, see if we can make an improvement here. Okay, so I do really like, let's lean into this running back defense correlation, and we'll grab Kyren Williams, who's coming off 20 plus touches again. And let's kind of lean into a little bit more certainty on this build with the running backs. We've got 3 bell cow backs here with McCaffrey, Barkley, and Kyren, all going to see 20 plus touches. Because I do feel like we've got the upside, and we're going to be quite different with a Drake Maye, Kayshon Boutte, Tyreek Hill build. And so I like this. I think just if I were to submit this lineup, the only thing I would do is I would flip Barkley and Kyren Williams. That way I've got my latest player playing in the flex just to give me the most flexibility. But I think overall, like I like the way that this build has come together. Again, we've leaned in some kind of game stack here with New England and Miami. Then we've got good correlation between Barkley and Hollywood Brown. Juwan Johnson kind of pairing him with Christian McCaffrey. And then we've got that Rams and Kyren Williams kind of correlation with the running back and defense. So I like how this lineup has come together.
Fantastic.
And I think we're going to have some low-owned plays where I think last week when we built this, we kind of knew it was going to be chalky. It ended up being a lot chalkier than I thought it was going to be. But again, that's kind of what you get when you build on Tuesdays.
Indeed. Yes. No, this is great. And I do like, to your point, that like because it has kind of that likelier to be low-owned correlation with Maye, Boutte, and Tyreek Hill, you're kind of solidifying it a bit more with, like you said, a bit more certainty. It's like you can't just go crazy risky in every spot because that's really going to be a long shot to hit. So taking more of that certainty, the guaranteed workload that you have with the 3 running backs there to boost the floor of this lineup. Then you just hope for that ceiling if the Maye combination can go off. So great lineup. So for those of you listening on the podcast, I'll recap one more time. So you got Drake Maye at the quarterback, stacked with Butte, the skinny stack there, and the bring back of Tyreek Hill, and then Christian McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, the running backs, Hollywood Brown, the other receiver, Juwan Johnson, tight end, Saquon Barkley in the flex, and the Rams defense, and also the late afternoon hammer with the. It just sometimes feels better to have something going in that late afternoon game, especially if you don't miss any massive blowups in the early window. So, Stat, any final thoughts? Great lineup.
Yeah, I mean, as always, hope to see us continuing the cash. I think we were just under 50% with the builds we did on stream last year, and we're off to a good start, 1 for 1 this year. So we'll try to keep it going. So
awesome,
hope
guys.
to see you and everybody else's with their OWS avatars at the top of the leaderboard again this week.
As do I. Stat, as always, thanks for the time, guys. Check out 1 week season. Check out the props package, $9 for week 2. All the props that you can get at 1 week season. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Best of luck, as Stat said, this weekend. And happy building throughout the week as we move towards week 2. Stat, we'll catch you next time, brother.
Cheers.